Day for us. As I told our football team after the game, I believe this program is built on a pretty solid foundation. It's taken 9 years to do that. It's taken that long to get to where we've been. And the ride up the mountain is very difficult at times, and that ride down sometimes is very quick. So the reality is that we're a 2-3 football team. You know, should we handle ourselves with conviction? Those are the things we need to do to be able to turn this thing around. But when you look at the football game itself, I would say probably the first half, we go down the field to score, 15-play drive, that's pretty much the end of that situation. We got bad field position 2 times coming out inside the 5 twice, so 95 yards away from the score, but one series set us back, didn't perform well, whether it's a holding call or a problem with snap or whatever the case was. So we had 4 series in the first half. It's 10-7 at the end of the third quarter. We're sort of hanging defensively, and then all of a sudden we just couldn't tackle anything. So got to get off the field on third down. Didn't have a sack. Trying to create situations where we have sacks. So whether it's structure or whether it's ability or execution, you got to evaluate that. Got to come up with turnovers. You'd think one of them would fall in our lap at some point in time, but that has not happened. Reality of the situation, across the 52 times on offense to score both touchdowns, but that's not nearly enough to win a football game. So you've got to look at different things and challenge each other and challenge yourself as a coach to get things squared away. But with that being said, I want to congratulate BYU. They kept playing, and as the game continued to wear on, they seemed to get a little stronger, especially in the fourth quarter, and with their ability to run the football. Williams had a great game, staying all week long. It's a good running back. Taysom Hill, got problems a number of times and made runs. Good quarterback. So got to be able to eliminate those things. But I'll take questions.
Coach, 3 points allowed through halftime. Defense was holding its own. Second half, it turns. Is there an identifiable kind of turning point that you could observe, or was it a cumulative effect because they had the ball 8 more minutes than you did?
Tough to say without watching the film because there were some big plays, especially at the end. 2 big plays in the game that got them 24 and then 31. But you got chances to get off the field on third down and 7 or 6 or 8 or whatever it is, and you got to look to see exactly why that didn't happen. Whether it was pass rush lanes with a couple times the quarterback scrambled, one time he found a guy on a late crossing route. We should have had somebody out there on that. So you got to get off the field on those situations, and some of this other stuff doesn't happen. But it was a long drive in the third quarter by BYU, which, got to get off the field. And I think maybe 3 times it was third down. But, that's why we have to go back. We have to look at things and evaluate what we did, who we did it with, how we did it, and we ask ourselves, was it execution? What exactly did happen? But, again, it's disappointing. Very disappointed Lockwood.
Mark, on that first drive, it looked like you were achieving what you wanted to do. You wanted to get O'Connor into a rhythm. He's throwing the ball, and you had a beautiful drive there. And then I know that what they give you in field position is going to dictate other decisions, but then you went to the run, and O'Connor only threw a couple of more passes, a couple of sacks, and he's out of there. Can you tell us what changed here?
Yeah, coming off the 5-yard line twice is probably, the last 2 drives of the first half. We had to run the football there, I believe, at some point. And then in the second half, it was the sacks. And the bottom line is production. At some point in time, you have to be productive. If you're not productive and you've got 7 points on the board, then you've got to make a change for the sake of change. I don't think he was playing that badly. I really don't. But we can't take the sacks. We've got to get a guy that can get out of there, or whatever the case, or whatever. But at that point in time, it's 10-7. I think it went to 17-7, I believe, before we made the change. And I just felt like we had to go you know, I don't want a quarterback controversy. Tyler's done a great job leading. He's been okay, he hasn't been poor, but I felt like, hey, we needed to do something for the sake of change at that point in time. I don't think Damian Terry went in there and lost the football game. So, if anything, what happened in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, was I think a defensive meltdown as much as anything too. But it's all inclusive. It always is. There's a lot of blame to go around. There's a lot of things that you can say, hey, this happened or that happened, whether it's offense, defense, whatever it is, special teams, whatever it is. But didn't make him fun enough, I can tell you that. So all these things, you know, like I tell our football team, where I tell our players all the time, hey, if you think you got it bad now, it can always get worse. I promise you, it'll always get worse. You need to find a way out of the hole.
Mark, you referenced production. You were playing the 120th ranked passing defense in America. When you come out on the attack, you throw 8 passes in the first drive, only won the rest of the half. Tyler finishes 7 of 11, but with 2 very bad drops, so technically 9 and 11. And he gets pulled. Do you also need to be looking at the production of your offensive play calling, and do you need to take an introspective look at your game plan and how plays are called?
I think you look at everything involved. I've already said that. It's not one person's fault. It's a cumulative effect. So that's play calling, that's structure, that's execution. That's all of it, you know. But at that point in time, I felt like we needed to make a move. So, you know, I don't like to make, you know, last thing I want to do is create controversy. But I just felt like we needed to have something happen. We needed to provide a spark and have something happen. And somebody else needed an opportunity. Damian Terry came into the season with the idea that he was going to take some reps, and we were going to sort of give him a series or two. So it wasn't out of the picture that we shouldn't see him perform some. And he did some decent things and took us down the field on one drive. Had a poor throw, I believe, on the interception. And the dig comes up, and you go through, you know, whatever. Sit here and look at it from field level like you guys did. So, but point taken. You know, I'm not here to blame Tyler O'Connor for this loss. It's not his fault we lost. That's the question.
Mark, you said you don't want a quarterback controversy going forward, but do you consider Tyler your starter this week?
We evaluate things. We have to evaluate exactly who did what, and then evaluate practice.
Coach, Gerald Holmes got many carries in the first half, and he was grinding out yards. He had a very exceptional first half. He scored the only touchdown in the first half, and then he saw limited action in the second half. So what made you want to go in a different direction with that?
I don't think that he saw limited action. You know, he was in there. I think that the game sort of turned with a long drive defensively against us. You know, their offense against our defense. You know, Jay Scott, I think, had 3 carries. I think Andre had 1. So Gerald was in there. LJ's a good player. LJ's been our starter, been a spark. Andre's been a good player for us too. So, you know, I don't really have a great answer for you on that one. I think the game turned with 8 minutes to go. When we went down 24-7, we needed 3 series to be able to get back in the game. So it became a 2-minute type game, a passing game. So, you know, you go from 10-7 at the end of the third quarter to all of a sudden 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So in 7 minutes time, it's 24-7. We need 3 series, and we can't afford to run the football and just, you know, milk the clock. And we had 3 timeouts. We scored. We felt like kick it away. 3 timeouts. Get the ball back around midfield or so. You know, they had their hands team on the field, so kick it away. I can't remember what they actually started at, but we got a chance to tackle the quarterback. He slips us. It's a first down. So those are the problems that you deal with, and they're one play at a time problems.
Mark, how much did the injury situation that you guys had on defense and the guys you had out affect you after those long drives? And secondly, when you started losing other guys on both sides of the ball, did that contribute to some of this thing?
Well, I mean, you know, we've got some guys out, but that's not a crutch just in terms of how we play football. You know, we've got other players, and we've got to look deeper. So I know Justin, we played Justin Lang the second half, almost exclusively, I believe, certainly in the fourth quarter. He had a good week of practice, we moved him over to the corner, looked at him, I like him, so we played him. But I can't tell you who played, who's got nicked up. I know we were rolling a lot of different defensive linemen in there. Our linebacker situation, we're rolling people in as well. I think our secondary is pretty status quo with the exception of that one substitution.
Mark, I got a follow-up question for what Hondo asked you. As you said during the game, you pulled Tyler O'Connor because you felt like the team needed a change. When you review the film, is there a possible scenario that you could see the same in regard to play calling, where maybe you take over play calling for a game, just to try and change things up?
No, I'm not going to do that. Absolutely not. That will not happen.
Mark, how does this team get some sacks and takeaways, and what do you do about the tackling problem?
Well, we pressed the pocket a number of times, and he stepped up in the pocket. So again, it's hard to say from field level exactly what happens. You got to push the pocket inside as well, so he can't step up. So it looked like it separated itself. He stepped up in the pocket. He made a couple runs. He made a couple throws like that. I think we had some times when we had pressure on him and we didn't get him down. As far as what we ran, it's all sort of running through my head right now. We pressured a lot. We played base. We tried about, we did a lot of stuff. He's a running quarter. He can run. He's got power. He's a power type runner, and he ran through some tackles. I think Williams ran through some tackles, obviously, but he was downhill in the A gap. It was gap integrity, which means you've got to stay in your gap. If you're stunning to your gap or a line in your gap, you got to play the correct leverage in that particular position. So I know our linebackers got cut a couple times in the guard, and the nose tackle got cut on the long run and went downhill. So you can't allow the ball to be run straight downhill on you like that.
No takeaways.
Hasn't happened much, honest, in the past number of years, but as I said, we got to go back and look at things structurally and everything else.
No
Take all the
takeaways again, how troubling is that?
It's troubling. Usually they come in batches. The ball didn't come out, and we didn't get any tips. We didn't pick any. So, give BYU credit. I mean, if we were the other way around, I'd be sitting here saying, wow, we didn't have any turnovers. We did a great job. So I guess I got to say that as well. But you got to get turnovers to win in football too. We end up -1, and that's a big one because that was the one I believe that went down to 17. That was the other big play. They took it down to about the 30. Needed to make them kick a field goal, and we did not. So it was 10-7 at that point. Make them kick a field goal is 13-7. We're right still in the game.
We have two more here and there. Go ahead.
Coach, I know you sort of touched on this already, but what made Jamal Williams so difficult to stop?
He's a great running back. He runs through tackles. I think as much as anything, he was downhill in a hurry, vertical when he was running laterally, but he ran with power. So we have to tackle better. We have to do better, but he's a very good running back.
Mark, how did it impact the game plan not having a lead for the first half, and what did you see from him in his return, and what he was able to do out there?
Well, it impacted the first half to some degree, but we made our way through it. They had 3 points at the end of the first half, and really probably should have had 0. We got off the field on third down twice. They got 0. So we hung in there the second half. Have to look at everything. He's playing the second half. I know he made some plays, but got to look at everything that we did.